Joining us today at Lull Park, Seoul reimagined as VALORANT Park Seoul, thanks to our amazing creative events and Korean teams. My name is David Higdon, Global Head of Esports Communications at Riot Games, and today we've got a robust lineup of special guests, sizzling videos, no doubt some amazing hot takes, and plenty of time for Q&A. For our Q&A sessions, we will first open the floor for media questions here in the arena. Thank you for joining us. If you have a question, please queue up behind one of the two microphones behind the stands over here to my right and over here to my left. Please state your name and affiliation before asking your question, and let us know if it's directed to one person or others. We also will take questions from remote media members around the globe through Zoom. As we do at our tournaments, please use the Zoom hand raise feature, and our Zoom moderator, Juan Moreno, everyone wave up at Juan, will call on you to unmute and ask your questions. Okay, let's get started. I'm now pleased to invite the president of Publishing and Esports at Riot Games, John Needham, to join us to kick us off with opening remarks.
Oh, I need a clicker. Thank you. Hello, how's everybody doing? Welcome to our media and influencers here in Seoul, as well as those online around the world. Thank you for your time with us today. VALORANT Champions Seoul has been one of our most successful events ever. We're seeing the best viewership on the back of teams from 3 different leagues qualifying into the arena stage. EDG showcased VCT China's strongest performance to date, yay, with their qualification into the top 4. And I think we're set up to have an amazing weekend of competitive VALORANT. Overall, 2024 has been an incredible year for us. First, bringing the VCT China online in 2024 has been amazing. The Chinese fans and teams have shown up in a great way this year, exceeding all of our expectations. On China platforms, we reached a global events viewership peak of 2.36 million. This was at Masters Shanghai, and a VCT China viewership peak of 1.84 million for the VCT China International League. There's an interesting fact that 72% of in-person attendees for VCT China are Gen Z. VALORANT is drawing a very young audience. More than 30,000 tickets were sold out in just 33 seconds during the VALORANT Masters Shanghai earlier this year. We're doing really well with sponsors as well. Globally, we added HP's Omen and HyperX earlier this year to our prestigious lineup of brands supporting the VCT. This lineup includes Red Bull, Amazon Web Services, and our great partner, MasterCard. We're already the #1 PC shooter esport in China, and we believe we're the largest tax shooter in the world. Additionally, we continue to focus on inclusivity in our esports efforts. So we're also very pleased to announce that this year we're going to be expanding our footprint for Game Changers, including additional slots for our Game Changers finale in Berlin later this year, as well as increased mobility for players through their journey to become a pro. Our vision remains to create a future where men and women play together on the same stage, united by their love of the game, not segregated by their gender. We're going to keep investing as long as it takes, but we hope one day Game Changers will no longer be necessary. Another area of focused expansion this year has been with our player engagement initiatives. I hope you like the Esports Hub and the game client for the VCT. During most game days, roughly 70% of those playing VALORANT also enter the Esports Hub. So thank you, Andy and the VALORANT development team for building this hub. We love it. For this tournament, we launched Pick'ems, and we saw 1.73 million total registrants through the groups phase of Champions Seoul. At the same point in time, for the 2023 League of Legends Worlds, we had 1.68 million participants. So Valorant is really over-indexing in participation in Pick'em compared to the biggest esport on the planet. Some other engagement stats: many pickers who started in the game client have made edits or additional picks on the web. This is further evidence that esports is effectively inspiring our players to go play the game. You'll hear us talk about the play, watch, play loop a lot, and it's really great seeing this behavior happening with our players. We also had 2.99 million total unique pickers across groups and playoffs when you include players from China. Alas, the first Valorant perfect picks will have to wait until next year. We had only one person get all three of groups A, B, and C perfect, and then 0 participants had completely perfect picks after Group D concluded. It's been that kind of unpredictable tournament. Team bundles have exceeded our expectations and are performing incredibly well. Partner teams are really leaning into the co-marketing with us. Sentinels, best example. We loved how the Sentinels respectfully crashed the EDG press conference. For the Champs bundle, we're over 2 weeks into the sale, and early signals are very, very promising. We're exceeding all of our projections. On top of that, the Valorant China PC and the worldwide console player base keeps growing, and that just keeps adding to the pot. So far, between the team capsules and the championship bundle, we're distributing more than $35 million to partner teams. That's 75% more than it was last year at this time. So the strong performance of the Champions bundle will reward teams who qualified for this event with over $1 million each. As I outlined in a blog earlier this year, we have great confidence in the digital foundation of the business model that we have with our teams. So I'll wrap up by thanking you all again for your coverage and your passion for Valorant and the VCT. And now I'd like to welcome my close friends who run our game and sport, Anna Donlin and Leo Faria.
Clicker.
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 Thank you, clicker. I just remember to click. Go.
Go.
All right, go. Go. There we go. We did it. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna Donlin. I'm the studio head for Valorant.
Hello, annyeonghaseyo. I'm Leo, global head of Valorant Esports.
Thank you so much for having us here today. Since launching Valorant in 2020, we have been on the most amazing journey. We've been building, we've been growing, adjusting, and in our hearts, we've been serving this amazing community of players all around the world. And service requires us to have a relationship with our players, to learn from them and to build for them and to make adjustments that keep them engaged and keep them satisfied. Serving our players is a huge, huge responsibility, and it's a responsibility that Leo and myself and all of the teams at Riot take very, very seriously. And you all keep us on our toes, and we would have it no other way.
At its core, Valorant is a highly competitive tactical shooter. But when we're doing it right, Valorant shows up in players' lives in the most meaningful ways, across game, sport, community, culture. Valorant strives to be a part of players' lives and to be a community they're proud to identify with. And our job at Riot is to create an environment and create those opportunities. And we're hopeful that you have seen that in 2024.
Through our offerings this year, we have aimed to deliver on the best year of Valorant yet. And it's really just us trying to showcase our ambition to evolve with our growing community. And what we've seen from players gives us confidence that we're on the right track in delivering on that ambition. You can see it in the evolution of the game through engagement with the new content, like the death-defying Clove, a new weapon in the arsenal with the Outlaw, the craziness of our new map Abyss, and exciting and sometimes super colorful new skin lines. You can see it blending the game and the sport together with our VCT bundles and the addition of pick'ems this year. That's my pick'em score right there. So I think I had part of the script available to me.
Oh, wow.
We'll see how it goes this
1%,
weekend.
what a flex.
Right?
You could see through the growth of the sport, with all of our 4 leagues showing significant growth and increasement in engagement and viewership this year, with the launch of VCT China, which was embraced by the Chinese community and quickly became one of the most successful esports leagues in the world.
You could see it through the success of our global events. Masters Madrid broke all-time viewership records, reaching 3.1 million peak concurrent viewers, and gave us one of the most electrifying grand final matches ever between Sentinels and Genji.
You could see through our first global event in China, which surpassed all of our expectations and gave us Pacific's first international trophy lift. Chinese fans sold out one of the biggest and most prestigious venues around the world, the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Shanghai, showing the world their love for Valorant and how far the game has come in just 1 year. It is insane to think that we launched Valorant in China just 1 year ago.
I know.
But as Anna likes to say, Valorant is always shipping.
Valorant is always shipping. And you could see that through our latest platform expansion. When thinking about where to grow and expand the Valorant community, we really look for 2 things. The first is places where we believe players will be happy to see us. And the second is places where we know that we can serve them well. And when developing Valorant, we had no plans for console initially, but it quickly became an opportunity that excited us more and more. The road to bringing Val to console was not straightforward, but in the end, it was very, very worth it. We're happy to share that through the release of Val on console, we've already welcomed in millions of new players to the community, and we hope that they'll all be enjoying Champs with all of us this weekend. And speaking of Champs, welcome to Champs Seoul. Champs is the pinnacle of every year of Valorant. It's when we bring together every part of Val across game and sport and community and culture to really just celebrate all of you.
At Riot, we always want to meet players where they are. And that could mean channels, platforms, regions. Usually it's all of the above. And over the past 4 years, we have seen Valorant growing in every corner of the globe. And in 2024, we wanted to bring our events to a new part of the world to recognize and celebrate the investment these communities have made on Valorant. And Korea is the birthplace of esports, yes, but it's also the birthplace of incredible music and fashion and culture. Being here means so much to us, and hopefully the community feels the same. We kicked things off 20 days ago at COEX, the home of VCT Pacific, with the 16 best Valorant teams in the world. And it's safe to say, this has been the most competitive champions of all time. Teams have raised the bar for competition with unpredictable results and upsets that broke our scripts.
Not mine.
From Sentinels taking the toughest road again and knocking out the favorites, Genji, to Trace surprising everyone and coming out of the first seed in their group. No one's bracket survived this. Maybe yours did.
Maybe mine
Flexing
did.
again.
A little bit.
But once again, we're seeing the power of a truly global sport with 3 out of 4 regions represented in the top 4. It literally is anyone's game, and we cannot wait to see these teams playing at the big stage at Inspire.
And while the matches have absolutely been a blast, watching the Korean community turn up for our various activations has also been such a huge thrill. Together with our local team in Korea, we have been planning an event worthy of this community, not only to honor everything we love about Valorant, but also Korean culture and style and vibes. From PC bang takeovers all over the city to concerts and pop-ups and more, we hope that players in Korea have seen how much we appreciate them. I personally want to express my immense gratitude to the Korean Valorant community for making this event so, so special. And this weekend, we will keep the celebration going as we welcome players to the Inspire Arena to multiple days of sold-out awesomeness.
That's right.
We don't do it for these stats, but we love stats like this because they validate the work we're doing and they validate the commitment that we've made here and that we will continue to make. We're humbled by the success of Valorant in Korea so far and around the world, and are committed to building this community for years to come.
That's right, and it's been very humbling to see the success of Val in Korea and around the world. So far, we have seen staggering 3.45 million big viewers for Champ Seoul, despite the challenging time zone for fans in the West. And these numbers make Champ Seoul the most watched VCT event of all time. And we're not even done yet. The best is yet to come.
It sure is, Leo. Grand Finals weekend is going to be incredible with our most ambitious VCT opening ceremony to date. It's a story told in 3 chapters. It begins at the start of the year with Madge's 2 worlds and a look inside the Val universe. Then to a frag reel come to life with a performance of Run from Oditari and Lay Banks. And then on to our 2024 VCT anthem, Superpower, with Mark Twan and Natty and Julie of Kiss of Life, who you are going to meet very soon, as we showcase the pain and glory in the fight for victory. And speaking of the fight for victory, we will, of course, crown a winner this weekend.
Yes.
Will it be America's super team, Leviathan, showcasing the excellence from every corner of their region? Will Sentinels once again fight back from the lower bracket to exert their dominance? Will EDG show us that when it comes to China, victory was a foregone conclusion? Or will the prodigies of Heretics prove that the crown was always meant for them?
That was beautiful.
I know, thank you. I can't wait to find out.
Look, 2024 has been such an amazing year, but there's still a lot to come. I have a new agent, of course, the Game Changers Championship, off-season tournaments. But for now, let's pause and take a look what's coming next. I'm sure at this point you're all tired of hearing Anna and I speak. So here's a video of Anna and I speaking for 5 more minutes.
Finale of the 2024 season, we wanted to take a moment to talk about what's coming next in the VCT. We have got a lot in store, so let's dive right in. First up, right after Champions, the best challenger teams from around the world will compete in Ascension, fighting for a spot in the international leagues. These teams will expand each IL from 11 to 12 teams and have a chance to defend their spot at the end of the next season. In October, challengers will pick back up with more competition, bridging the gap between the 2024 and 2025 seasons. Now, starting next year, partner teams will be able to run academy teams in challengers. Academy teams won't be eligible to participate in Ascension, but we hope this change will better support talent development in the VCT. The 4 Ascension teams and over 40 pros coming up from challengers this year added fresh blood and new stories to our sport, including 2 teams qualifying to Masters Shanghai. We are very encouraged by these results and hope to continue seeing that trend in 2025.
The off-season returns with an incredible slate of tournaments, including show matches, open bracket events, influencer tournaments, and invitationals. Some fan favorite events are going to return, including the Red Bull Homeground, Ludwig and Tarek, and Spike Nations. We're excited to see the community coming together, teams testing out new rosters, and playing in unique types of competition. Finally, in November, we'll close out the year with Game Changers Championship at the new Riot Games Arena in Berlin. Once again, crowning the best GC team in the world. We're expanding the tournament from 8 to 10 teams, giving more players the opportunity to be seen and showcase what they're capable of. Now let's look ahead to 2025. We're very excited to bring our global events to 3 new locations next year. The first Masters of the year, happening in February, is coming to Southeast Asia in Bangkok. From there, we'll cross the Pacific and bring the VCT to the east coast of North America this time with Masters Toronto in June. And last but not least, we're thrilled to share that we'll close out the season in the City of Lights with Champions Paris. We thank you for always showing up, bringing up the energy, and making these events such special moments.
All right, with our events locked in, let's talk about the shape of the season. We have learned a lot this year, and in 2025, we'll implement a number of changes that will make our sport more competitive and more exciting to watch. The first big change is that we're expanding the calendar. The season will now run from January to October, better aligning the game and the sport, shortening the off-season, and giving teams more time to rest and prepare between competitions. To keep the stakes high throughout the year, every competition will award teams with championship points that will strengthen their bid for champions. We're reworking the system to better distribute points throughout the season and better reward teams for competing in Masters. More information on that later this year. To get the season started, the kickoff tournament returns in January, now with the new format. 12 teams will compete in a straight double elimination bracket, with the top 2 teams qualifying for Masters Bangkok. From there, Stage 1 will qualify the top 3 teams from each league to Masters Toronto. Action will continue on Stage 2, which will no longer carry over records from Stage 1, and will qualify teams for the final playoffs of the season. Playoffs will expand from 6 to 8 teams, which will keep more teams in contention for a longer period of time and give teams more chances to qualify for global events. And finally, to close out the season, the top teams from Stage 2 playoffs and the top teams with the most championship points will qualify for Champions Paris, where we will crown the best Valorant team in the world.
It's been incredible to see the growth of the VCT over the past 4 years. Your passion and your support has helped turn Valorant into a living, breathing sport, and we're still just getting started. Next year, we'll celebrate an important milestone, the 5th anniversary of Valorant. And I want to reinforce our commitment to continuing to build this amazing sport for years to come. Looking further into the future, 2026, we'll bring champions to China, and in 2027, back to the Americas. Live events are magical, and we look forward to continuing bringing them to players all over the world. We're also committed to continuing to integrate the VCT into the game itself. Last year, we introduced Premier, which continues to evolve, and this year has promoted more than 40 teams into challengers, creating a starting point to Valorant's path to pro that's available to players everywhere. We've also launched the Esports Hub, which we'll continue to build and add on to with experiences like Pick'ems, which launched for champions this year. And then lastly, we're very thankful for the support you've shown for Team Capsules. The collection was a big bet for us this year, a way for you to support your favorite teams and rep them in game. Next year, you can expect a refresh of the classic skins, as well as a brand new capsule, kind of like what we did with the 2023 lock-in bundle.
That's it, folks. 2025 promises to be a truly incredible year. We'll have a longer season, more teams in our leagues, a new format, new skins, events in new locations around the world, and of course, the celebration of Valorant's 5th anniversary.
Thank you for your support, your passion, and for making Valorant the amazing game that it is. Let's get hyped for Champions Grand Finals and crown the 2024 Valorant World Champion. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Sorry.
All right, folks, that's it. We're very excited about 2025. As you've just seen, we're bringing our events to 3 brand new locations, bringing the awesomeness of Valorant and the VCT to players all over the world with Masters Bangkok, Masters Toronto, and Champions Paris. I'm sure you're all surprised by that information. No one saw it several hours ago on social media, right? We're also evolving the season format with a number of important changes, including a longer season and 12.5% more matches. Their favorite teams and games. More money going to teams each year.
2025 also represents something pretty meaningful to us and hopefully to all of you. Next year is Val's 5-year anniversary, not a birthday, but an anniversary, because it's an acknowledgement of the relationship between our game and the incredible community that is formed around it. A time to reflect and celebrate and play and compete and vibe and party. Whether you have been with us from the jump or you've just joined us recently, next year will be a celebration of all of you. Before we move on to the Q&A, on behalf of Leo, myself, and all of us Rioters working on Valorant, thank you. Thank you for giving us this truly amazing gift, the best jobs of our lives, serving the greatest community of players around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
All right. Thank you, Anna and Leo. Stay where you're at. We need more of Anna and Leo.
Okay.
Okay.
But we're going to double up, and we're going to bring John back on stage. And we're also going to be joined by Andy Ho, the executive producer of Valorant, for Q&A for the media here and those around the globe on Zoom. Reminder, we will first open the floor for media questions from here in the arena. So if you're interested in asking a question, I'd suggest you come on down to the microphones right away. Please come to the front, and prior to your question, please state your name and affiliation and who you would like to answer the question. We also welcome questions from remote media members through Zoom. Please use the Zoom hand raise feature, and Juan will call on you to unmute and ask your question. Please note that we have translations in the arena, and they will be used throughout the Q&A. We'll plan to leave as much as 30 minutes for the Q&A, and we will start on Zoom. Juan, do you have somebody queued up who wants to ask a question to one of these four?
I don't know, Lydia, that's not working.
Is my mic not working? Your voice is too important, and you need 2 mics.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is this working?
Yes.
There you go.
Leo, how'd you sleep last night?
Well, very
Good.
well. After a beautiful night of Korean barbecue, it
It was lovely.
was beautiful.
Does anyone in the audience want to come down and ask a question, or else I'll start asking questions and then I'm not sure they're prepared for them?
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Please, someone.
exactly.
Hello.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi. I'm Eiko from GameSpark from Japan.
Hi.
This is a question for Leo. Depending on the region, the tier 2 scene has like they have different amounts of popularity right now.
That's right.
Do you have any thoughts surrounding this or about tier 2 in general right now?
Yeah, look, when we designed the VCT, we had a very clear purpose with Tier 2. We created it to develop talent and the future of the VCT. And what makes the conversation a lot nuanced is because different regions have a different number of teams that are investing in the scene, and we see, let's say, a very level of investments in challenges around the world. But what's always important to go back to is how do we measure success of challengers? And it really is about talent development. So from 2023 to 2024, we saw over 40 players coming up from challengers. We had 4 new teams coming up from Ascensions and bringing fresh blood, new stories to the sport. So look, it's not perfect. There's a lot that we still need to work and iterate on, but we're very happy with this, with what Challengers is giving us. And again, we're always going to look at, is it fulfilling its role of developing talent? And we believe it is.
G2 did pretty good this year.
That's right. Yeah, we had both. Yeah, we had two teams coming from Ascension, making it a global event. So we have very good signs that the system is working.
All right, Leo's first answer is testing the translator's skill. So way to go. Let's hear from our Korean translators. Yep. It's in their headsets. All right, next question, please. Okay, I'll take the question, Leo, because I know you love the tier 2 questions there. So we talked earlier about the mobility with Game Changers. Can you explain what that means exactly and how that's going to change?
Absolutely, yeah. Look, we have 2 main goals with Game Changers, as John mentioned within our vision. One is to create a stage where women and those players can be seen and can be given an opportunity to showcase their skills. The other goal is to help them join the main circuit. And we think we have done a good job in the first years of Game Changers establishing that scene and creating those events and those competitions. We haven't seen already these players being picked up and joining international leagues and global events, and we believe that is the next step. So we took a lot of time just looking at everything we have, from global policies to roster construction rules. And we looked at anything that could be a blocker, rules that exist to protect the integrity of the sport. But we look at all of them and say, what can we remove? What type of exceptions we can create for women and these players to be picked up? So we're implementing a number of policy changes, everything from they can be signed at any moment in time. They're not restricted to residency rules. There are a bunch of changes that, again, exist that are not applicable to Game Changers. And we hope that's going to make it easier and is going to incentivize teams to go give these players the chance that they deserve.
Pause for translation.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Are we
Okay.
done?
I guess
Jason?
it's
Can
a
we ask
Zoom.
the next question?
Yes, absolutely. This is Brandon with esports.gg. I will send it out to, I guess, either Leo or Anna. You guys mentioned, in your video and on stage there regarding just the expansion of Valorant, continuing to grow the game. With console out recently, I was wondering if there was any opportunities for competitive console in the future at all.
Take that one,
You've
Anna.
answered all the questions. I'll take a stab at it, and then you can you can fill in the blanks if I miss anything. That's a great question. We talked about this quite a bit before launching console in terms of what player expectations would be around this, and then what we would want to do to be able to meet those expectations. And I think as it stands, we're just starting to learn about this community and understand what their needs are. We think we've actually developed an esport that can be viewed and appreciated by anybody that watches it, regardless of what platform you play the game on. The experience of playing Valorant is almost identical between the different platforms. And so if you're a player on any platform, you should be able to enjoy VCT no matter what. And so I think we're going to start there and see how it goes. I think over time, if we see there being more interest or really like a divergence of the skill set, it's something we would explore like anything we would explore. But as it stands, I think we're going to stay committed to the global events being played on PC, and then we'll see if the need arises, and we'll be ready to adapt.
Pause for translation.
콘솔 선수들의 유저들의 니즈를 아직 파악하고 있는데요. 사실 저희가 생각하기에는 누가 어떤 플랫폼으로 게임을 즐기냐가 중요한 게 아니라 보는 사람들이 어떤 플랫폼으로 즐기냐와는 무관하게 보면서 그 발로란트의 매력을 느낄 수 있는 게 중요하다고 생각하기 때문에 추후에 콘솔만의 다른 스킬 차이나 전략 차이 같은 부분이 보인다면 또 생각을 해볼 거지만 지금으로서는 BCT PC 버전의 게임 리그에 좀 더 집중하려고 합니다.
Next question here in the audience.
Hello, my name is Joseph from Esports. So first off, thank you for the opportunity to be here and thank you for doing this event. I flew in from Singapore and just want to say like the media, local and international, I think we all really appreciate this opportunity to communicate and let's grow this esport together.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this question is for anyone to answer. So following the thrilling match between Sentinels and Fnatic, I think that's a match that two big fan bases. We've seen some conversation online about whether the final stage of the tournament, particularly in the big arena, should be expanded beyond the final 4 games of the tournament. Especially results now are quite unpredictable. So I'm sure, personally, I'm just gutted that Boaster is not going to be able to do a K-pop walkout in Seoul. So I'm sure you guys have already had a robust discussion internally about this, but could you shed some light on Riot's perspective on this as we look ahead to future tournaments?
Thank you for the question. Look, I think it's important to recognize that we missed on a few small things at the studio, so you couldn't see a lot of the energy coming through the broadcast, and it's something we've talked about and we hope to fix. Like we had 10,000 people at the Fan Fest outside and we didn't show that on broadcast. Like those things, some fans showed up for DRX game, but not the Sentinels and Fnatic game. So you had some empty seats. So like some of those things combined made the energy not come through the broadcast, and we recognize that. But as far as being on the bigger arena, it's important to put it in perspective. When we come to a city like Champion Seoul, we're here for 25 days. 18 of those days are show days. Most entertainment acts around the world, when you think of a music tour, they go to a city for 1 night, sometimes 2, and they move on to the next city. You have to be Taylor Swift to sell out 4 or 5 nights in a row. So the idea of going to a big arena for those many nights, especially an arena as big as Inspire, it's just not realistic, right? We always see tickets, especially for Grand Final, selling out in seconds, right? And we know that the appetite is there, but being more days in the arena, as exciting as it sounds for all of us, it's just not realistic. Like it's too much, too many days. And we think how we're distributing the show right now makes sense. But again, we all saw that it was lacking a bit of energy, and I think that's what fans missed.
이전에 있었던 그룹 스테이지 그리고 코엑스에서의 상황을 봤을 때 밖에는 10,000명 이상의 팬분들이 또 행사를 찾아주셨지만 그래도 방송적으로 봤을 때 어떤 팬들은 DRX 경기를 보러 오고 센티넬스 경기 때는 집에 가는 그런 모습들도 보였고요. 뭐 빈자리도 많이 보였기 때문에 그런 팬들의 열정을 좀 방송을 통해서 많이 느낄 수 없었던 것 같습니다. 그리고 이렇게 좀 인스파이어처럼 규모가 큰 경기장을 부킹을 할 때 좀 더 깊이 해봐야 할 부분이 저희가 25일 동안 챔피언스를 치르는데 그중 18일이 경기가 있는 날이거든요. 그런데 사실 좀 다른 분야를 보면 음악 투어, 뮤직 투어, 가수들이 투어를 할 때 하루 이틀 그 도시에 있다가 다른 도시로 옮기게 됩니다. 4, 5일 연속으로 계속해서 그 경기장을 매진시키려고 하면 한 테일러 스위프트 정도는 돼야 하고요. 인스파이어에서 25일을 치른다? 현실적이지 않은 것 같습니다. 그리고 뭐 결승전 티켓은 초 단위로 매진되는 모습을 보여주면서 충분히 팬들이 그런 갈증이 있다는 건 볼 수 있었지만 그래도 25일 내내 인스파이어에서 경기를 치를 수는 없기 때문에 조금 더 합리적인 방안으로 저희 경기를 좀 4경기 정도 인스파이어에서 치르는 것으로 결정하게 됐습니다.
That was a long answer. I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
Come
You know
on,
how much,
Leo.
you
Come
know how
on,
much,
Leo.
you know how much I love Taylor Swift, so I got to hear it twice. It's good. It's good.
Go ahead,
I did
sir.
it for you, Anna.
Thank you.
안녕하세요. 발로란트 신규 총기가 새로 나오는지랑 그리고 게임 도중에 만나고 싶지 않은 팀원을 안 만날 수 있는 그런 기능 같은 거에 대해서 궁금합니다.
So this question was more about the game. Do you guys have any plans to add a new weapon like you guys added Outlaw in the future? And also with matchmaking, do you guys have plans to maybe allow the users to kind of block off toxic players so that they never be on the same team ever again?
Yeah, for the weapon one, that's definitely something that we're thinking about. We're always looking for new opportunities to expand the game, keep it fresh. In terms of weapons, we want it to feel like a complete arsenal. So we won't likely just add weapons just to add more weapons. We want every weapon to have a place in the game and an identity. So maybe we start with that one and then I'll.
Yeah, let's translate and then we'll go to your second piece.
Thank you for the question.
하지만 그냥 좀 무기의 수를 늘리기 위해서 좀 새로운 무기를 도입한다기보다는 뭔가 게임의 새로운 특성을 제한할 수 있는 그리고 새로운 목적을 부여할 수 있는 그런 아이템들을 좀 무기로 담아내고 싶기 때문에 생각해두는 건 있는데 그냥 막 더해지는 그런 의미 없는 무기는 아닐 거라고 얘기를 합니다.
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, and then in terms of matchmaking, yeah, thanks for the question. It's a very complex space. So obviously player behavior and having a good match is something that we care a lot about. We want players to feel like whenever they hit play, they're going to get a good match, a good, fair, experience. The challenge with something like being able to block specific players is that the vast majority of players won't necessarily see the same player again, except for if you're in the tails of like really high MMR as an example. So we want to be thoughtful of if we were to explore something like this, just being very careful of the potential, edge case abuse cases of like, oh, I don't want to play with that player, not necessarily because of any kind of treatment, but because like I didn't, they didn't perform as like I wanted them to. So it's definitely a thing that we're thinking about, and yeah, just need to be thoughtful about how we tread in that kind of territory.
많은 시간을 들여서 좀 얘기를 해봐야 할 것 같습니다. 워낙 유저들이 게임을 할 때 좀 안전하고 좀 기분 좋은 경험을 할 수 있도록 좋은 환경을 만들어주는 건 좋지만, 네, 사실 이거를 자세히 살펴보면 싫어하는 사람 그리고 별로였던 팀원들을 다시 언제 또 만날지 그 확률이 그렇게 높진 않잖아요. 뭐 랭크가 불멸 이상이기 때문에 그 풀이 좁아서 다시 만날 확률이 조금 더 늘어나지 않는 이상 다시 만날 확률이 적기도 하고 그리고 워낙 또 조심스러운 문제로 여러 가지 이슈들과 좀 테크니컬한 이슈들이 있기 때문에 그 부분도 고려를 해야 되고, 또 여기서 나오는 부작용이 만약에 차단을 하게 된다면 그냥 저 사람 못하니까 차단을 하겠다라는 결정을 내리는 유저들도 있기 때문에 좀 더 그런 부분들을 어떻게 위원회 방지하고 또 유저들을 위해서는 또 어떤 부분을 해결해 줄 수 있는지에 대해서는 계속해서 좀 더 고민해 봐야 될 문제 같습니다.
Take a question here in the arena, then we'll go to a question Zoom one after this.
Hello, my name is Qian Hongyan. I'm from China, core games and core esports. The first question is for Anna. 在中国，移动游戏市场其实是非常重要的。然后，在前几个月，我们的微缺手游也已经通过了这个版号的审批，所以我们希望想要问到的是，微切手游在明年是否会在中国以及全球市场推出，以及像微切手游它是否会像英雄联盟手游一样有一个单独的电竞生态，或者是它会反而融入到我们端游的电竞生态当中来，以及您认为微切手游的推出对我们整个 IP 的影响是怎样的？谢谢。
So the question will about in China, actually there is a big market for mobile games. And actually we got the franchise of mobile VALORANT this year. And we want to know that if there's gonna be launched for mobile VALORANT tomorrow, next year or further years. So, and we want to know that if mobile VALORANT will be part of the PC games as just like lore, or it will be different, be isolated. And we also know that if the IP of mobile VALORANT will affect the PC VALORANT.
It's such a good question.
Questions.
It's like 6 amazing questions. I think, so we have not really talked about mobile very much. And every time I get asked a question about mobile, I say, yeah, we're thinking about it or we're working on it, but then we got the license. And so I think it's pretty safe to confirm that we're working on VALORANT Mobile and it's in development right now. What I can say is that we did a play test a few weeks ago and I think it's actually coming out pretty incredible. It is not ready to launch. We don't have a launch date yet. We're going to make sure that when we launch it, it's the best version of the game we can launch, and we're not there yet. So as soon as we get a little more confident in when we could launch it, we will start to share more information. I can't confirm a lot of the questions that you asked, but what I will say is that for us, it's really, really important that the true experience of VALORANT is offered to mobile players, and that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that everything you love about VALORANT is true on the mobile version of the game. When it's ready.
Just to be clear.
其实我们关于手游的推行是一直都在去做的，当然我们也是已经有了相关的证件了，我们其实是可以去做的。当然我们也一直在做一些测试，然后我们会发现其实它的效果是非常非常好的，但是也必须去说的是，其实我们认为现在还是并没有做好一个完全的准备的，因为我们希望如果我们要推出手游的话，一定是拿出它最好的面貌来面向大家的，因为我们希望能够向我们无畏契约的玩家和社区去表现出一个我们已经准备好的，去分享一个我们最好的关于游戏给到大家最好的体验。那如果我们准备好了之后，有更多的信息的话，也会想在那个时候再去跟大家分享，想要给予大家最好的体验，当然是在我们准备好了之后。
And
the next question will actually come from Zoom.
My next question for John.
Can we actually take a call from Zoom, please? Thank you. Juan, go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon or evening from Seattle, Washington. My name is Sierra Azobi, a freelance commentator, and my question goes to Leo, unless someone feels better equipped to answer it, since it revolves around the 2025 VCT format changes. What were some of the major considerations in having the formats differ between Stage 1 and Stage 2 of VCT 2025? The first obviously being announced as double elimination, and the second being similar to this year with the regular season groups into playoffs.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so look, we look at a lot of things when designing the season. One is we want things to feel fresh, right? So we don't want to repeat the same format at kickoff and then at Masters 1 and then Stage 1 and Masters 2. We wanted to feel unique and special. So there's that. There's also the consideration of teams and players experience. What we saw this year is the way our season was designed. Teams were out of contention a little bit too early. And if you couple that with the season being a bit too short, for a lot of teams, they felt like I waited too long to play a few matches and then be knocked out. So this year we wanted to create a format where they had more chances to compete, more chances to stay in contention for a longer period of time. And the other big consideration I would say is just where do you put the weight of the season in terms of qualification to champions? Because it's always a challenge if you qualify teams too early. What it means is that the latter part of the season might not matter. But if you put all the weight in the latter part of the season, the earlier part of the season don't matter. And the way we do that, we use championship points as a tool to try to balance out and reward teams for the most recent performance, which is why you're going to see some teams coming from stage 2 playoffs into champions, but also reward season-long performance, which is why you're going to see some teams coming from championship points and qualifying into champions. So there's probably more details, but I think these are probably the 3 big pieces that we look at when designing a format.
Thank you.
네, 이번 포맷에 있어서 어떻게 생각하시는지, 그리고 이번 포맷을 도입할 때 좀 어떤 점을 중점적으로 생각하셨는지에 대한 질문이었고요. 답변은 선수들이 이 포맷을 통해서 좀 어떤 경험을 할까를 많이 생각해봤다고 합니다. 또 아무래도 시즌이 짧은데 너무 빨리 시즌이 끝나는 팀들은 좀 오래 기다렸는데 너무 빨리 끝내버렸다는 그런 허탈함을 느낄 수도 있고, 또 어떤 팀들은 더 많은 경기를 치르면서 쉬지 못하는 그런 현상이 일어날 수도 있겠다는 생각에 좀 이렇게 스테이지 1과 스테이지 2 그리고 중간중간에 국제대회를 집어넣고 챔피언스 포인트를 도입하게 된 건데요. 이렇게 되면서 좀 더 많은 선수들이 계속해서 좀 꾸준히 경기를 치를 동기부여가 될 거고, 그리고 가장 중요했던 부분 자체가 챔피언스 진출권을 언제쯤에 확정 지을 수 있을지를 정하는 거였는데, 너무 빨리 진출을 정하게 된다면 아무래도 많이 루즈해지는 편이고, 그리고 너무 늦게 정하게 된다면 아무래도 준비할 시간이 많이 없잖아요. 그것 때문에 더 챔피언스 포인트의 감소를 많이 뒀고, 그렇기 때문에 1년 내내 좀 꾸준히 성적을 보여준 팀들이 뭐 챔피언스 포인트를 통해서 챔피언스에 진출할 수 있는 방안 또한 마련했던 것입니다.
Thank you. Question here.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rafaela Duran. I'm from Mac3.gg and Chilean sport media. And my question is for Leo. You mentioned that in 2027, Champions is going back to Americas. And considering that in Latin America, you have a lot of fans, Valorant fans and esports teams, have you considered to bring Masters or Champions or some main event to Latin America?
We definitely have. Look, we have a lot of things go into consideration when we select a city to host our events. Of course, the size of the community is one of them. We look at a number of other things like logistics and venue availability and visa. So there's a lot that goes into consideration, but we absolutely love Latin America. Nothing to share today, but we'll definitely think about bringing an event to Latin America one day. We have Ascension coming to Monterrey in Mexico in September. So we hope to find ways to go and celebrate that community. So again, nothing to share, but it's definitely in our minds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question.
네, 국제대회 계획에 대해서 좀 자세히 물어봐 주셨는데, 혹시 라틴 아메리카 쪽으로 국제대회 마스터즈나 뭐 챔피언스를 개최할 예정이 있으신지에 대해서 여쭤봤고요. 많은 것들을 따져봐야 하기 때문에 뭐 팬층이라든지 경기장, 비자, 비용 등등을 따져봐야 되기 때문에 뭐 언젠간 국제대회를 라틴 아메리카 쪽에서 열 수 있으면 좋겠지만, 이번 올해 12월에 또 멕시코에서 어센션 경기를 하는 만큼 또 차차 지금은 뭐 확답을 드릴 수는 없지만 이루어질 수 있는지는 지켜봐야 할 것 같다고 얘기를 하셨습니다.
大家好，我是来自中国北京青年报的记者，然后我的问题提给 Leo。刚才您提到就是选择中国作为2026年冠军赛的举办地是基于哪些因素然后来考虑的？那么为了吸引更多的中国观众和参与者，有哪些特别的安排或者活动
好，谢谢。
So this question is for Leo. You just said that there will be international tournament in China in 2026. We want to know that what's the reason for that, and also will there be some special activities to to attract more audience, more fans to participate in that international tournament?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Look, we just love China, and we have been impressed with how Valorant has resonated and how the community embraced Valorant. Anna and I visited Shanghai at the beginning of the year for the beginning of VCT China, and we just felt like Valorant now has a home at VCT Xian, a beautiful studio, and then we brought Masters to Shanghai, and we could see just how incredible the community was. Again, we mentioned how we sold out that beautiful arena, and we could see, how vibrant everything was around the city with all of our activations. So we were just very inspired. It's very, I think, fundamental to us to travel with our events all over the world instead of just repeating the same locations over and over again where we know we have an audience, right? Like we make a very intentional choice to travel the world, and we want to come back to China. It's as simple as that. We were impressed and hope to be able to do more events in China.
刚刚 Leo 的回答是说，其实他非常的热爱，非常的喜欢之前他们在上海大师赛，在上海举办的时候，在大师赛的所感受到的当下的一个氛围，以及说感受到了在中国的粉丝们以及如此好的一个社区氛围，感受到好像无畏契约在上海也有了一个家一样。因为当时不管是像整体的现场的一个氛围啊，还是不管我们最后在梅赛德斯奔驰文化中心场馆当中的一个体验，都是让他们感觉到非常的棒和不可思议的。当然，同时他们也深受到了其中的启发，因为其实举办赛事的基础呢，是基础的一个想法就是不想要在同样的一个地方、同样的一个城市不断的去举办这样的赛事，这样太重复了。所以他们希望能够有更多不同的选择。当然，他们非常对于之前的在上海的这一次体验是非常的满意的，所以他们非常愿意将来将更多的国际赛事再带到中国。
Okay, let's go to remote first for another question from around the world.
Hi there. My name is Joshua Wilkinson from Platchat, and I've got a question for whoever would like to take that. It is following on with the theme of VCT China. So VCT China runs in the same time slot currently as VCT Pacific, broadly speaking. It doesn't have a foreign language broadcast, and the API access for sites outside of China is quite limited. And that means that global viewers have to make a choice about tuning in, and they can't understand the commentary and the storytelling when they do tune in. They can't follow along on third-party websites very easily, and I think that leads to some underappreciation of the Chinese teams at global events. Can we expect some further integration of VCT China for the international fan?
I can start on anyone.
Go for it.
Yeah, please jump in. Yeah, John, thank you for your question. I think the answer is yes. Yeah, look, at year one, our priority is always to cater the show and the competition for the local audience, right? It's the number one. It's the obvious choice. The number one priority is to serve them well in their own language, in their own territory. Especially now, seeing the success of VCT China, we do expect to integrate it more. We have been debating, not confirmed yet, to have an English feed for VCT China, which again, right, like we're always taking the lead of our fans in our community. If we see that there is an appetite and that there isn't a desire, we're going to go serve them and do those things. So again, it's only year one. We're serving that community, but I think they have proved that there's definitely an opportunity for us to expand and better integrate them in the rest of the world.
중국 지역에 온라인 중계를 좀 도입한 지 이제 1년 차가 됐는데 확실히 팬들에게서 중국 지역에 대한 많은 갈증을 느끼고 있는 것 같거든요. 그래서 저희도 앞으로 지켜보면서 팬들에게서 수요가 있다면 더 나은 중국 번역의 또 중계를 보내드리기 위해서 뭐 영어 중계나 다른 언어로서의 중국 피드를 만드는 식도 충분히 고려해 볼 만하다고 생각합니다.
All right, over here.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 포머스 박상진 기자고요. 존니덤 사장님이 좀 답변해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 이제 발로란트가 이제 출시 5주년을 앞두고 있고 e스포츠도 초기 이제 안정기를 지나서 이제 확장기를 맞을 것 같은데 이제 앞으로 발로란트 e스포츠는 좀 어떤 지향점을 가지고 계속 발전시킬지가 첫 번째로 궁금하고 두 번째로는 이제 최근 이제 국제 스포츠 기구에서 e스포츠를 이제 계속 포용하려는 모습을 보이고 있는데 이 부분에서 발로란트 e스포츠는 좀 어떤 방향성을 가지고 있는지가 궁금합니다.
This question is for John. With the upcoming 5th anniversary of Valorant next year, I personally think that Valorant has a stable fan base and also the player base. I think it's only going to expand more and more. So from here, where do you want to go with Valorant in the future? What would be your main goal when it comes to, developing the community and the game itself? And also, there has been a lot of movements of the traditional sports trying to include esports in their competitions. So, what are your views with where Valorant places in that type of phenomenon?
Yeah, really good question. I mean, Valorant as a game is still growing very rapidly now with China and console. So we hope that keeps going. We hope we have a mobile version sometime in the near future, and that'll continue to grow our audience. So we're not stopping. We are going to continue to serve this community and try to keep the community happy and grow the game. What was the second question? There was a second question.
Mark, what was the second part of his question? No. Go ahead and translate if you need to.
It's about inclusion.
Should I translate?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got it. Go ahead. Sorry.
It was about traditional sports, trying to include esports more and more, for the Asian games with League of Legends and other games as well. So, what do you think Valorant kind of places when it comes to joining those traditional sports events?
I mean, we would love to have Valorant included in those types of competitions. I think the sensitivity with Valorant is it's a shooter generally. It's been something as we've started talking to the Olympics about what their plans are. With the Asian Games, we'll see what happens, but we love the Asian Games. The Asian Games has been great for League of Legends. We would love to see Valorant competing there.
일단 답변은요, 계속해서 성장세를 보이고 있는 만큼 성장에 집중할 거라고 얘기를 하시고, 워낙 중국 권역에서의 발로란트의 인기도 상승을 하고 있고, 콘솔도 반응이 좋기 때문에 또 언젠가는 모바일 출시까지 된다면 이런 유저층을 좀 충분히 만족시킬 수 있고, 그리고 유저층이 더 늘어날 수 있도록 그런 성장을 주 목적으로 해서 좀 이끌어 나갈 거라고 얘기를 하셨고요. 그리고 두 번째 질문에 대해서는 너무 그 기존 스포츠에 포함이 될 수 있다면 좋겠지만 그래도 민감한 사안이 아무래도 총게임이다 보니까 좀 폭력성의 문제가 있기 때문에 이 부분에 대해서는 올림픽 주최 측과도 이야기를 하신 적이 있다고 얘기를 합니다. 그리고 또 뭐 아시안 게임 같은 경우에는 롤에서 너무 좋은 성과를 거뒀기 때문에 또 만약에 발로란트가 아시안 게임의 일부가 될 수 있다면 너무 기쁠 것 같다고 얘기를 하셨습니다.
We'll go up to one and one more remote question and a final question in the arena.
Hi guys, it's Ravish Ravish caster from NA. Just wanted to ask about a fun one on 3 new exciting locations once again this year, which I know I'm personally excited about. One of them being from Toronto, so let's go. Just wanted to ask specifically about just your guys' process and especially going year after year as Valorant continues to grow as such a global esport, on where you prioritize on where you want to see fans with these Masters events and just your thought process behind them. By all means, anyone that you can answer would love to hear the insight. Thanks.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, like I said, one of the things that makes Valorant so special is the fact that it's a truly global game, right? The game has been growing pretty much every corner of the globe since launch, and we want the VCT to represent the diversity of the community. That includes locations where they come from. I'll be honest, bringing events to all the corners of the globe is really hard because almost every time it's a new location, we need to learn a lot of things. Again, everything from logistics to contractors and gear. Can we ship gear in and out of the country? Can we get visas? When we come to a place like Seoul, we fly hundreds of people. When we get to the final stage, sometimes we have over 1,000 people working to produce that show. And going to new locations is hard because we're learning all the time. But we think it's worth the investment because we want to serve, as I said during the presentation, we want to go where players are. We brought champions to LA last year, and going to Toronto is our intent is to serve the audience in the East Coast of North America. We're very excited, again, for the first time in Southeast Asia as well, coming to Bangkok and finally bringing champions to Paris. We were there with Worlds back in 2019. World semifinals happening in Paris this year, so it's also a place where we have a large community. So we're just very excited, and you will continue to see us taking those opportunities and making those investments to bring the VCT, all over the world.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
먼저 아무래도 글로벌 팬층과 유저층이 다양하기 때문에 이런 다양성을 보여주고 싶어서 이렇게 새로운 장소에서 국제대회를 개최하려고 하는데요. 매번 새로운 곳에 갈 수 없는 이유는 비용이나 장비, 무대 설치비나 뭔가 인력 이동 관련해서 굉장히 많은 것들을 고려해야 되기 때문에 매번 새로운 곳에 갈 수 없지만 그래도 뭔가 충분히 투자할 가치가 있는 것 같다고 생각한다고 얘기를 했습니다. 아무래도 팬들을 직접 찾아가는 걸 중요시하고 있기 때문에 좀 이렇게 새로운 장소들을 내년을 위해서 선택하게 됐고, 프랑스 같은 경우에는 2019년 월즈 세미파이널이 치러지기도 했었고, 올해도 프랑스에서 월즈 경기가 조금 치러질 예정이기 때문에 발로란트도 내년에 프랑스를 찾아간다는 점이 매우 기대된다고 합니다.
Question in the arena?
Hello, guys. Thank you for opportunity to ask a question. I'm really excited about this weekend and about the success of VALORANT Esports. I have two small questions. My first one is about the changes in 2025 season. With the number of the teams, participating teams in international leagues expanding, I was curious if you have the perfect number in mind about the teams that will compete in international leagues in future, and what do you expect of the clubs to bring to the table? And my second question, since I have a small but very passionate YouTube channel, which is focused on telling the player stories, with introduction of Hall of Legends this year and its success, I was curious if similar initiatives are planned for VALORANT Esports, and if you are planning to grow our own superstars here. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. I'll start it again.
Yeah,
please.
Leo, take one and then we'll translate and then we'll take a second
Take the second one.
Yep.
So as for a number of teams, we're actually just very happy to have 12 teams. It's really hard to build a format for 11 teams. You can ask our team. We were like, this is hard and it's suboptimal. And we saw the sound fans saying, this format feels weird. It's hard to build a thing for 11 teams. So we're happy to have 12. Things are going to be a lot more clean. As far as global events go, we're happy with the configuration we have right now. Last year, we talked about how we wanted to create progression throughout the season and feel like the scope and the stakes increase as we go through the year. That's why you have top 2 teams from each league at Masters 1, top 3 teams from each league at Masters 2, and top 4 at Champions. That progression feels good to us. We still think that is the right choice. As always, we might change in the future, but for now, that feels ideal.
질문은 2025년에는 각 권역들마다 어센션에서 승격된 팀들이 한 팀씩 올라오게 되고 또 포맷 또한 많이 바뀔 텐데 여기에 대해서 어떻게 느끼고 있는지에 대한 질문이었고요. 답변은 11팀이 있었던 올해는 좀 포맷을 상식적으로 만들기가 그리고 좀 논리적으로 합리적으로 만들기가 굉장히 힘들었는데 12팀이 되면서 훨씬 더 포맷을 짜는 데 있어서는 수월해진 것 같고 조금 더 합리적인 스케줄을 포맷을 짤 수 있을 것 같다고 얘기를 했고요. 그리고 이제 올해 계속해서 좀 긴장감이 더해지는 국제무대 방식을 선택을 했거든요. 그래서 점진적으로 첫 번째 국제대회는 탑 2 팀들, 그리고 두 번째 국제대회는 탑 3 팀들, 그리고 마지막 챔피언스에는 탑 4 팀들, 이렇게 좀 점점점 진출하는 팀들이 많아지면서 더 많은 긴장감을 만들어낼 수 있는 시스템을 도입을 했는데 지금에 있어서는 굉장히 마음에 드는 시스템이고요. 또 굳이 바꿀 필요가 없다면 좀 가까운 미래에는 이대로 계속 가져가도 괜찮을 것 같다는 생각입니다.
You remember the second part?
Yeah, and for the second part, I think it's just early, right? We want to give the sport some time to develop and the stories to come out organically, but we definitely want to celebrate players and their achievements. So We're going to test some things out. I don't think we have announced this yet, so this is going to be first-hand information. We're going to have an MVP award at the end of Champions Grand Finals. We're doing that for the first time to, again, celebrate not only the winning team, but the players who were a highlight. So we're definitely, you would definitely see us experimenting with things like that. Are we ever going to create a Hall of Fame? Eventually, probably. I think as we, as time goes by, I think it's, it's definitely something we would think about.
Very excited to hear about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Korean translation?
네, 질문은 좀 더 선수들의 가치와 매력을 뽐낼 수 있는 콘텐츠와 그리고 뭐 롤처럼 명예전당 같은 시스템을 도입할 예정이 있는지였고요. 그리고 답변은 아직 너무 이른 것 같고 좀 더 자연스러운 상황에서 선수의 매력과 뭔가 업적이 드러나기를 바란다고 얘기를 했지만 그러면서도 이제 원래는 말을 하지 않을 거였는데 말씀드리는 부분이 저희가 마지막 결승전 때 MVP 시상식을 처음으로 챔피언스에서 도입을 하려고 하거든요. 그렇기 때문에 좀 이런 식으로 좀 선수를 축하해 줄 수 있고 더 빛내줄 수 있는 방법들을 좀 모색하는 중이고 아직 명예전당은 좀 이르지 않나 싶다고 얘기를 합니다.
All right, we'll take the last question for this foursome from Zoom.
Yes, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Well, first off, thank you so much to all four of you guys for giving us the time to answer all of the media's questions. So my question goes to John and Leo. John, you mentioned a little bit about other events that have happened within or outside of the Riot Games ecosystem, such as the Asian Games and the upcoming Olympics that will feature esports. I want to stay within that tangent. And so I start my question. One of the biggest changes that happened this year with respect to the Riot Games esports ecosystem is the inclusion of the Esports World Cup for major titles like League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics. At events held this year in Saudi Arabia, the EWC's Chief Games Officer, Fabian Shorman, said in an interview with Dexerto that he's been in discussions with publishers to include their games for future editions of the event. One of these games include Valorant, while also hinting the possibility of the game eventually getting into the event. That said, my question to you guys is this: is there any possibility, either bigger or small, that somewhere in the future Valorant will be included in the EWC, and what would need to happen for this to either happen or not happen?
I'll start. So, yeah, I mean, we're always looking for opportunities for our teams to participate in different types of events, to prop up different kinds of competitions around our esports, like the Olympics or the Asian Games. I think this year with the EWC, I would say it was pretty successful what they did. The teams had a great experience in the competition this year, made a little money, which is good. And we'll see what happens in the future. We are actively discussing with them what the future is, whether we should include Valorant or not, or other games that Riot has. And we don't have anything to announce right now, but you'll hear pretty soon what we're going to do in the future with them.
네, 일단 이번 질문은 뭐 아시안게임과 올림픽처럼 조금 더 라이엇 e스포츠만의 리그 외에도 다른 대회 발로란트가 그 일부가 될 의사가 있는지, 그리고 또 이번에 사우디에서 열렸던 e스포츠 월드컵에서는 발로란트를 좀 이 대회에 포함시키고 싶다라는 얘기가 있었고, 또 거기에 대해서 계속해서 좀 얘기가 오가고 있다고 들었는데, 자체 리그 외에도 다른 대회에서 발로란트를 만나볼 수 있을지, 계획이 어떻게 되는지에 대한 질문이었고요. 답변은 뭐 올림픽이든 아시안게임이든 그리고 e스포츠 월드컵이든, 특히 e스포츠 월드컵은 좀 팀들에게 들어보니까 성공적이었고 뭐 재미도 있었고 그리고 상금도 좀 쏠쏠하게 벌었다고 팀들이 얘기를 해줬는데, 뭐 아직까지 계속해서 얘기 중이고요. 아직은 확언을 드릴 수는 없는 것 같다고 얘기를 했습니다.
All right, we'll wrap up this segment. The four of you, why don't we take a photo, and then the musical talent will be coming out next. So
Thank you so
all very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
have to take a photo with the most beautiful trophy in esports.
Oops.
There we go. There he is.
There it is.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. We'll now move on.